Okay.
Hello again, everybody.
Hi. Um, okay. So does anyone from any group kind of want to start with any of the questions? I'll let you pick either talking about US history and examples that you know of Black progress and then pushback, US now and examples of Black progress and pushback, or any thoughts about the video that we watched. So
Vanessa, can I do a quick housekeeping thing? Uh,
yes.
there are a couple of people who are on the call who are not on our email list. And I just want to say to you, if you want to be on the email reminder list, put your name and email address in the chat, and I will be sure to get you on the email list. Thank you.
Okay, thanks. Also, hi, Mr. C. I knew we'd see each other again. Sorry, I had to get that shout out. I haven't seen you since Upward Bound.
Great to see you.
Nice to see you too. Okay, so anybody want to start the conversation?
Our group, I'll start our group, and then our group, you all chime in, please. I think we want to talk about like the now, some of the things. We had a really good conversation about the video and the then, but the now, some of the things that were mentioned, with this, the big beautiful bill and some of the things that are in there, but specifically the Department of Education and, the lessening of available funds for grants, the decrease in DEI initiatives or elimination of DEI initiatives altogether. And we were talking about like how, even like redesigning what a full-time student is. Instead of 12 credit hours, it's now 15 credit hours. Like all these little things are made to
about 22 days ago
push people down. And, a good mention that the Declaration of Independence was never for all people. And as we see what's happening now, it's just a perpetuation of then to now.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's the DEI conversation is extremely interesting. And this is what I was mentioning and when I said Rock County, well, Midwest specific, Rock County, and then Janesville, right? I think that the effort to eliminate DEI by those that don't know, right, or maybe do know, right, was a way to take back what Black people have progressed to do, right? Be educated, be able to speak, become lawyers, be in government, become the president. And so they're eliminating this thing, thinking that it's hurting us, and it does, but it also extremely hurts the majority of people in this country, mainly low income white people, right? There's so many things that they benefit from DEI that they don't even realize that they do. And so a lot of the conversation in the county, that pushback that I get is, what is this for, right? Like when I first started a year ago, people asked, like, why are we doing these trainings? What does it mean to even be part of this? But it's so much bigger than just talking about race or just talking about the wrongdoings of Black people in this country. It is about, parents who need help in certain ways. It's about low income individuals, which Rock County majority can be seen as that. People with disabilities, people who need help, even like the ride share program, right? In Rock County, giving transit or rides to people. All of these things that we have that is established under the guise of DEI is there to help citizens, and they're actively voting to end those things that are helping them. And so you see, like, TikTok is my life coach, just in case anyone didn't know. But but you see these, I get videos every once in a while that come up sometimes that say, like, oh my gosh, all of a sudden it'll be some person from the middle of nowhere in the country. Usually it's a white woman, but they're usually like, oh my gosh, my food stamps changed from $1,000 a month. Now I only have 200. This is not what I voted for. And it's like, this is exactly what you voted for. You just assumed under your own racist guise that it was eliminating, like Black people getting hired for jobs that they're not qualified for. And that's not at all what, DEI was meant to do. Right. And so I'm glad that you talked about that. And I think about the critical race theory too in CRT being taught. This is exactly the point that I was making as far as society eliminating what the truth and what history is, even to the lowest degree of education and being taught in school, so that we can build society again to whatever narrative we think the majority, as far as power majority, wants to tell and wants to say. So it's a really scary time. I was just talking to someone in the county, an employee, and she was talking about education in schools, right, in public school. And I said, it is so crazy because if a person realized, right, like if the average adult realized how little, as far as history is being taught in school about anything that has to do with Black history or the celebration of like Black History Month or anything that's going on, they'd actually be really scared, right? Like it's far less than what we were even taught in school, and we were barely taught anything. And so I think that if people realized what's actually being taught and not taught, they wouldn't be so against what they deemed critical race theory. So I'm going to let somebody else talk.
Well, Vanessa, you're bringing up some really good points, and I think about how words are weaponized. Just DEI, right? And then this phrase of being woke, and how it's just been turned on its head to seem like it's a dirty word for someone to be woke, when all being woke means it's just to be aware, to know what's going on. I mean, people don't even realize how they're being dummied down by these by the weaponizing of these words. And I think it is so critical that we take time to really understand what these different phases mean. Throughout history, we've gone from affirmative action to DEI, trying to be inclusive, and yet in the end, it's really about exclusion, right? It just turns upside down. But we buy into this language so quickly and adapt and adopt what the powers that be, how they label things, and we sometimes unconsciously take that same language on and are part of the pushback rather than the progress, right? We do that sometimes unknowingly. So
Yeah,
thanks.
that's so true. That would be a great topic of conversation. Andrew and I were talking slightly about that, but we were talking about stereotypes. In my Juneteenth speech that I did, I talked about, for instance, like the use of watermelon and how it was weaponized against us, when the reality it started as one of the only crops that we had access to, that we made a lucrative business off of when slavery first ended, right? And so you have all of these Black businesses that are selling watermelon to make money and survive. And when that was realized that we're trying to progress, that's when these images came out that watermelon is stereotypical, and the coon behavior to eat watermelon, and it completely destroyed the Black economy in the US, the South in particular, because of these negative stereotypes. And I just learned about butter pecan ice cream too. I know you know about that. Okay, so let me tell you. So ever since I was growing up, I'm like, why do all these older Black people that I know love butter pecan ice cream? Tony, you love it too? Okay, so it's not that there's anything wrong with it. It's just every older Black person that I knew was like, I love butter pecan. Get me some butter pecan, right? My dad right now, if Culver's has butter pecan custard for the flavor of the day, he's like, can you get me a pint of butter pecan ice cream? I'm like, it's okay, but what the hell is the big deal about butter pecan, right? And so I found out through TikTok that the reason why particularly Black people, older Black people, love butter pecan so much is because when we first became free, we did not have access and they would not give us vanilla ice cream. We did not have access to it. And so butter pecan was created as an alternative to vanilla ice cream because of what we had access to as far as ingredients.
Wow.
And so it's just historically throughout the year and because of memory, right? Like I think about ice cream and, like the memory of childhood with ice cream. It's associated with that, right? And so all of these older Black people that I know that love butter pecan, it's literally because their grandma before them or their mom before them, that's what they had access to. And so it's just a family tradition to have butter pecan ice cream. Not that it's not delicious, but that's where that fandom came from. So there's so many. So Andrew and I were talking about there's so many stereotypes that are rooted in the dismantling of what's actually happened to people, that I wish that we can have those conversations more. Any other examples, either through history or of you can think of now that's happening where Black people are trying to make progress and then there's pushback of it?
Well, I'll share a little bit just on behalf of our group, and if anybody in our group wants to jump in, we kind of talked about how we kind of went down the list, and from my perspective, I know I shared with the video, I personally have been to Africa, and I had shared that I was living in a small village, probably the size of Edgerton. I mean, so not a big village. And they had a palace in that small village because they had architectural design. And not only that, most people spoke 3 languages, tribal languages. And here in America, we are lucky if you speak English and Spanglish. Like, we don't fluently speak multiple languages. And so just really going to that erasure of that African civilization, they're well-educated people in Africa currently, and that hasn't gone away. They have been there, they are there, they came here by force, but their ability, their brains, the smarts that they have are still there. And so just really kind of speaking to that African civilization erasure. And I jotted down and I shared with the group before the video had even talked about the athletics and how there is that a little bit of superiority. I had jotted down, I remember in high school, there was always the comment, so-and-so runs faster because he has an extra bone in his leg. And that idea that there's a reason why somebody can run faster or do something better, and how history here in the United States has made it that there has to be a reason. It can't just be that they're better or that they're smarter or that they, whoever the person is, has more skill. There has to be a different reason that's adding up to that. And I think that is, goes to that breakdown of trying to reduce the value of a person and trying to make it something it's not.
Right. Well, and I'll devil advocate this because I love to do that too. I think that it's important to recognize in American slavery or US slavery particularly that we were bred, right? Like for hundreds of years. And so when you talk, and in Western civilization specifically, right? So when you talk about people who were kidnapped from Africa and brought to the Western hemisphere, they were kidnapped with purpose, right? Like we meaning our society saw that he was the biggest, she was the fastest, or the hip, the one that could breed the most babies, or whatever, stereotypes or genetics they thought would be great, right? They brought those people over. And then when slavery ended, or like the transatlantic slave, transportation ended, and we had to breed, right? Because a drop of blood meant that you were a slave. and all these breeding farms came, we're literally putting people together like dogs that we think are going to genetically make the best people. And so generations later, it is possible to have athletes that all come from Black people that are the best, right? And so this goes back to my point about the discrimination and the racism that white people have instilled on bodies of color literally are the demise of the greatness of white people at the same time, because you created us to be this great by discrimination and racism throughout years and years and years and years, centuries and centuries. And so now you deal with the fastest man in the world being a Black man from Jamaica, right? Because like you breeded generations and generations of people to be the fastest people in the world, right? And so like that's the devil's advocate of it. And I'm not saying that's necessarily the excuse, but that is a factor that plays into what it means to be like a Black person from the Western Hemisphere, but specifically from the US, versus like an African or someone else that isn't from and born here and literally what America is. And so I just want to point that out too.
Absolutely. Well, and that continuous raising of the bar, that
Mm-hmm.
this is where you have to be. Oh, you've achieved it. No, no, it's now here.
Yes.
Now it's here. And
Yes.
that continuous
Yes.
cycle.
Yeah. And us like constantly pushing to rise to the occasion every time, because all we want to do is just have equal schools and equal rights and equal education and equal, right? And so we're always trying to make sure that we get that. And so it just forces us to be great. Any other comments or thoughts about anything?
I just keep coming back to the filling in of the swimming pools.
Yeah.
And that same screw you, I hurt too, as long as you're hurting mentality that
Yes.
is so prominent right now. It's just mind-boggling. And I don't, again, obviously, since this is a thing that repeats, how in the hell do you get people past the fact that your sadistic behavior towards others, it doesn't, not only is it masochistic to you, but it's like it's a no-win. So like I don't know how you can ever make sense of that to
Mm-hmm.
people. They're just filled with hate. I really don't. And anyway, that's why I haven't seen Wanda for a while. I've been trying to back out of a lot of things because I am so frustrated.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I had to. It was middle of January. I had to jack up my blood pressure. I had to double my blood pressure medicine after he took office because
Yeah.
that's how bad this has been for me.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, so again, I don't know how you guys do it, but
Yeah.
but uh, but I really don't. I love that we're having this kind of conversation, and all the people that we would love to have here aren't here, right? So,
Mm-hmm.
but you're recording this, and maybe there's something we could do with that.
Yeah.
Maybe we could inform people
Yeah.
that there's our honest conversation going on, and see if we can
Mm-hmm.
hear some people. But
Yeah.
so,
Yeah, I do. I agree. I think since power has come in certain ways for certain people, um, and the victimization of what was once considered, like I don't even know the words to say to all that, but it's literally the victimization of what was once power, right? Like they switched the narrative to say, because these small things have happened and it's shown progress in these ways, all of a sudden now I'm not getting rights. And so therefore no one should be able to get rights. And it takes away from this idea of what it means to, for one and first and foremost, be a Christian, right? Like I think when you talk about religion and you throw religion in and you mix it in and you value the part that favors to your own narrative and you take away the other parts, you're so deep, your hatred is so deep rooted into what the appearance of someone is. At some point you would think that a person would ask, where does that come from? Because it doesn't after a while, it just logically can't make sense, right? Like it
Right.
can't make sense. And I don't know if it's lack of exposure to enough people for them to be okay with all different types of people, which is what
Oh,
Heidi was talking about with multiculturalism, or where it comes from. But at some point, I think that we need to recognize that we are, smarter than cattle, or we would assume that we're smarter than cattle, right? And that as a group of people, we should be able to say, like, there is a system in place that's making me think these ways that I'm internally spewing out like a robot onto other people, younger generations, or whatever it goes. And the system keeps repeating and recycling itself instead of, making progress. So I do think that all of it, it's really crazy, and it's weird to see in real time. And I think that the rise of like internet, social media, all of those things makes what took previously 100 years to make scary and all that stuff happen in 5, right? Like, it's crazy to talk to someone in high school now and then think that the early 2000s was way too long ago, right? Like,
yeah.
it's so insane in my mind, and I'm like, there's no way that you could possibly think that, but they do. And so how quickly they forget about who was in the top 10 for music in 2010, right? Let alone who's in the top, 15, this year or whatever. So the the social conditioning that is happening, that people like the people on this call can see to younger and younger and younger generations, is really terrifying. And to take it off of Black people for a second, right? Because I do think, to a societal standpoint, like, we're old news, right? Like, I think that even the most racist white person could be like, yeah, they're Black. That's fine. Like, I know how to deal with them, right? I think that the newest topic and the thing that we see that's super scary is what's happening to the Latinx community, and what's happening to immigration and people trying to come to this country, right? Because this narrative is being put on that they're criminals and they're this and they're, all of these things that are impossible. And then you see this backlash of people now saying, like, wait a minute, my wife, was waiting to get her, green card. She already went through the steps, and when she went for her appointment, she got arrested, right? And it's like, no, we know, right? Because, and I literally, before those stories started coming out, I used to work with international students, and I did it for a short amount of time. But I told my parents, because, they were talking silly on the news, and I said, what's scary about this is the rule used to be for international students, if you were on a student visa and you were applying either to renew your visa or you're applying for citizenship, right? That if your visa expired and you're in the country and you're studying, right? Or like still doing the active thing of what your visa is, you can stay in this country and continue to do that while you're awaiting the process to be approved. And what has happened in our society is we've eliminated and cut down on US immigration services and border patrol and all of that. We've cut down the real agents that are processing those applications, and then decided to arrest all the people that are here illegally, when the reality is the rule used to be that I could still be here while I'm studying and while I'm doing all these things. And so people are getting arrested showing up for appointments, when once upon a time 2 years ago it was absolutely okay to be in that status, or in that limbo status, at the moment. So it's all really, really scary. It's all really, really scary. So anyway, I'm going to get off my soapbox. Anybody have anything else to say? It's 7:00.
No.
Okay. Andrew put in a list of references that I put for videos. The very first one is the video that I showed earlier, but these are just some other really great videos that talk about white supremacy during Reconstruction and what that looks like. There's an interview, one with MLK and one with Malcolm X, that talks specifically about the impact that white America has on Black America that people don't always recognize and see. And those were filmed at the time when they were alive, like they're actually live interviews. And then I love the number 5 video, just a quick history of the Black Panthers. It's a quick video. And so why I love it so much is because it shows uh, really what the Black Panthers were about, why they got started, and then how the government really just came in and just destroyed everything that they were about and them individually. And then I just put some book recommendations in. The only one that is nonfiction, no, the only one that is a fiction book is Homegoing, which is the last one. The rest of them are just books about times and examples and movements that have come about because of Black progress and the pushback against it. Okay, so I suggest all of those things.
And you can just put your life on hold and finish reading them in the next 2 weeks.
Yeah.
But um, so I want to say thank you very much, Vanessa, for leading us. We're going to move into the parking lot now, but the one is we want people to make announcements about things that are going on. And I want to, before he leaves, I want Tony to tell us about Good Trouble Beloit. But before that, I want Heidi to say anything she wants to say about what's going on at the YWCA.
Sure. One of the things I wanted to bring to the group is we will be looking at courageous conversations. And one of the questions that came up, I forgot we were meeting tonight, so we had a meeting earlier. I said I'll wait till next month, but we're here. One of the conversations we had, where we want feedback, and we will email you if you could respond to the email, is we've been talking about the starting time of this, and looking at the length of it. So we have 2 questions, should we be starting from 6 to 7 so more people can participate, go 1 hour with the parking lot after that, so it's a little bit more condensed time to hopefully grow to new audiences. So we will send out an email to this group, just give us your feedback. And then we are really looking at creating a pushback series just because of the enormous volume of pushback items for a little bit. So there's more to come on that. And the last thing is our racial justice conference this year is going to be on the 14th and 15th of November. And we're actually going to do a full day in person and a half day virtual. So if we hope that the full day in person at Black Hawk Tech is a way that we can all engage and come together with really some unbelievable community speakers. Yeah, community leaders as well as a keynote. And we're calling them racial equity in action presentations, things that are going on in our community. There are amazing racial equity work that we want to lift up so that people know what's happening in our community. That's it.
Okay, and Dale, would you want to say anything about things going on for Diversity Action Team?
Right now, the only thing that besides our after having taken off the month of July, we're reconvening our board meeting in August. And the first event that we are going to be tabling at is the National Night Out that the Janesville Police are doing on August 6th. So that I think is going to be a great event that everybody should attend.
Okay. So I
Oh, and we don't have the date for we had the movie night last Wednesday, and they only got through actually the first part of the documentary. And Neil, you can address more about the exact title of that because I don't have it up here. But there will be a date that's going to be coming forth where they're going to actually watch the second half of the because their discussion was so rich on the first part of the documentary that they're going to reschedule the second part for another evening.
So the title of the documentary is A Force More Powerful, and it's about nonviolent resistance in conflict. And the first section talked about India under Gandhi and the student sit-ins in Nashville, and South Africa, the end of apartheid. And the other half of the video series is talking about Denmark during the Hitler occupation, and Poland under Lech Walesa, and Chile under Pinochet. And so that stay tuned for that. We'll try to get the word out somehow. Uh, so the other housekeeping thing I want to do is, does everybody know how to save the chat? Well, whether you answer or not, I'm going to tell you. You go up to the very top of the chat, and there's three dots right after July Courageous Conversations. You click on those three dots, and it will say Save Chat. And then you click on the Save Chat, and it will be saved to your computer. And then you just have to find it. So it will be under Zoom somewhere, and you find it, and you can access all those neat things that Vanessa put in. So, and I want to say, Vanessa, thank you so much for leading us tonight. And I hope you can come back again and
Yeah.
be a leader as well as a participant for
I really
what we're
enjoyed the
doing.
time. So thank you for inviting me. Thank you.
So, Tony, your email address is Good Trouble Beloit. Tell me about that.
Well, we are currently in a state of flux. It's a group I started uh, during Trump won, during COVID or after COVID or in the middle of COVID. And we've been around about almost, I think, over 4 years. And it was basically to try to give the young kids hope for the future because, between the pandemic and the presidency, they were definitely feeling it. And a lot of kids still haven't recovered from the pandemic, to be quite honest. But so I started that to try to get kids that were out of high school and into their 30s, an opportunity to talk and learn things that we can't really teach in school. Uh, and I've been personally since retiring, I own 80% of the issue here. I've been having a hard time with a couple of things, and so I have not been as diligent with it as I should. And in the meantime, there have been some other really great groups have cropped up, including the Town Hall Coalition and things. So I've attended other things with other groups, and so. I'm still deciding if where Good Trouble is going to land and how many people in the group would miss it if we let it go and put our energy into other things. So I appreciate you asking. I'm just being fully honest. I'm a terrible liar. So so yeah.
So anyway,
It's a thing. It's a 501(c)(3) and it's education focused and we really have given kids a good voice. It's just the very people that I really wanted to help and want to help themselves and others are the people that have a hard time showing up. They're just too damn busy. They have too many struggles, whatever their issues are. And so, in theory, it's a great idea. And a lot of kids that were showing up were actually doing so probably out of loyalty to me. But I don't want that to be the reason why we're working together. So every time somebody in other groups has said, "Hey, do you have a kid for," or whatever, I will ask any kids that I know that have time. And all these kids are great kids, smart, very passionate about where things are, compassionate, caring. But again, it's just a crapshoot getting them to show up for things. So that's all I have to say. Sorry.
well, thank you. It's got a great name. So, uh,
Yeah,
so
thank you.
any other announcements before we spend more time talking about whatever you guys want to talk about? Yvonne Mitchell, who's on this show, and I have been working on immigration issues as representatives of Faith Lutheran and First Congregational churches in Janesville, and we're so I just want to tell you that tomorrow night at 7, we're going to a prayer meeting at Cristo La Roca, which is a Pentecostal church in Janesville, and they are praying for a couple who have an immigration appointment this week, that they will be safe. And so we're going to go and pray with them and appeal to God for the craziness that's happening in our country. And that's a whole nother part of progress and pushback that's not directly related to Black people, but it sure is pushback. Wanda, were you saying something?
I'm going to push back on that a little bit. It is
Okay.
related to Black people. See, one of the things that we kind of forget is immigration includes Haitian people that
That's
have been
true.
totally discriminated against as it relates to immigration. So I mean, again,
Thank you.
there's so many elements to these things that sometimes we forget. Some of the people that are really being left behind or kicked out of this stuff. But
Mhm.
yeah, immigration is a whole another ugly issue that we got to deal with.
Can I say this, please? Uh, it's definitely related to Black people because his goal is to get at Black people, and that's why he came up with the citizenship at first. He's after the Black people. So don't ever say that it's not related to him. Those were the easiest one to get to first, and then he'll come down to the Black people.
Thank you. Thank you for that correction. Other comments or thoughts about anything that we talked about or saw or heard